saw you on the Zoom call, what's it, last Tuesday? And
Yeah,
in the Zoom, it was like relationship something or other that you do. And I was like,
I'm a relationship coach. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, she's obviously not afraid of the camera either because you're always talking in the Zoom calls. So I thought, why not ask you to come on, basically, and especially now with the we had the pandemic, a few months ago, basically, not a few months ago, I should say, last year, early last year, the government outlined that this pandemic would take a toll on relationships. So I thought, what better person to ask than or to talk about than with you, but also not only that, but just to have a talk to you about, like some of the things you do with your clients to help get over those obstacles they may have in their relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I've obviously started. So I just quickly do the the housekeeping. So just for everyone that's viewing today, just be sure to hit the subscribe button. That way, any new content that comes out, you'll be notified when you get onto YouTube. As well as that, if you smash the bell icon, which is next to the subscribe button, you will be able to get notifications through whatever media you use to access YouTube. So whether it's your mobile or on your computer or on a tablet, as well as that, smash the like button as well, that thumbs up, and help us out. That helps let the algorithm or the YouTube algorithm know that basically we've got some quality content here, and yeah, just to put the word out for everyone else to get onto. So without further ado, Kat, yeah, let's get into this, yeah?
Let's fire away.
So, yeah, the first question I had is really with the pandemic that we're going through, have you found a lot of people having challenges with relationships, just like the government outlined?
Yeah, absolutely, especially for those where the husbands couldn't go out to work. So then it's a whole different dynamic of them having to learn to live with one another pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
Because if a relationship isn't really that healthy, at least they've got that, I'll call it escape, and these are the words of clients, not mine,
Yeah.
that they get to go to work, and that at least alleviates a bit of the pressure between each other. But with the pandemic, it enforced, and I'm going to use the word enforced,
That's
it
okay.
enforced people to have to become, somehow the whole situation changed, the whole dynamic of the relationship shifted. So for some, it was a blessing. It actually enabled them to really get to reconnect with their relationship, those who are really committed. And for others, it tended to really cause a lot more conflict between each other.
Yeah, yeah. Because like, I know there's some books out there, but there is no real manual or, we weren't given something straight out of high school to say this is how relationships work. It's something that I know for myself has been a bit of a trial and error. Would you say the same?
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. Is something that I say to everyone that crosses my path, every couple that I meet. At the end of the day, where did we learn how to have a relationship? We've not been taught the skills, right? We haven't
Yeah.
been given the skills. And it's brilliant that you brought that up, especially because it gives me the opportunity to share that everything that you and I and everyone else out there know about relationships is by observation of our parents.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So if you're speaking to someone that's come from an environment that wasn't really nurturing, I'll use that word,
Okay. Yeah.
and their parents didn't interact, or they fought, or they argued a lot, you'll find that that's their relationship language. That's their skills. And for those that were brought up in a family where the parents were really connected, that's what they learned. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's no manual.
Yeah.
Everything we do is from observation,
Yeah.
what we've learnt as a child.
Yeah. No, I was thinking like, their parents' relationship, if it's a toxic relationship, they sort of inherit that behavior because that's all they know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, some of us are really good, and like with parenting, we go, oh no, we don't want to do that like our parents, or we don't want to do that like our parents. So we actually have the ability to shift it. I do want to put in a stipulation though.
Yep.
Everything I share is not about blaming our folks.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to stipulate that people go, oh, we're blaming. No, it's not even about our folks. It's this whole conversation is about just raising awareness of actually going, shit, you know, I didn't know how to have a relationship.
Yeah.
Have I really flown on effect and repeated the cycle of the relationship that my parents had? Because once you can identify something within yourself, you can go, I'm going to change it.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
I think, yeah, like you sort of, when you witness that behavior within yourself, you have to understand or basically be prepared to put in an intervention in place so you can assess the situation and basically come out better off after it. Because if you don't tackle the issue head on, then people quite regularly say you'll let your emotions bottle up. And then when that happens, you explode and then the situation becomes more tense, yeah?
I come very much, everything that I work with is about emotion. I work with the gut. I don't work with the thoughts and the thinking, because thinking is an assumption in essence.
Okay.
And so it's really important when you can raise awareness and acknowledge, like you said, you validate it and you go, okay, so now once you're consciously aware, you have the ability to actually go, am I going to continue that pattern, or am I going to actually, what can I do to shift it? You'll hear my language is a little bit different.
Okay.
And it's that, well, it's just different words. I only, because I teach language as well as with couples, and it's really important to use words that empower you rather than disempower you.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, has over the last few decades compared to, like, let's say the 80s, has the dynamics of relationships actually changed, like the fundamentals of it, how, you know, couples work together and stuff like that?
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't doing this back in the 80s. I was, I'll say a kid. Not really. Absolutely. If you look back in history, you go back to how relationships were back in the 50s and the 60s, you know, the housewife and the predominantly the woman would, once they have children, stay at home, and that was the dynamic. So absolutely, it's definitely evolved, and now it's so common that both parents are working, and so they're so busy, and then kids come into the mix, and so the dynamics have absolutely shifted, and that's one of the causing factors as to what's happening in relationships in disconnecting.
So the change of dynamics has presented more challenges in relationships these days?
I absolutely do. It's my belief. When you look back, and although some women go, oh, Kat, why? You know, back in the 50s and the 60s, and yes, I don't ever want to go back to that because of the freedom of women and choices and everything like that. However, the overarching thing that I look at is the commitment to the relationship. Back then, my perception is the male and the female, it was all about family and it was about the relationship. It's where our focus, you know, I don't want to lose sight of the question that you asked,
okay.
but if you look at it, back in the 50s and the 60s and even today, and I'll share with why my relationship is because we're so busy in today with both parents working, kids, and all the extracurricular activities that the kids do these days in today's society.
Yeah.
The busyness of working to earn money to buy stuff, you'll hear my language, buy stuff, means the two people involved in the relationship, the focus shifts. So it's no longer on the relationship. It's about busy working to get money to buy a house, to buy a car, to buy this, to buy that. And through that, then the lack or the decrease, I'll use that word, the decrease of commitment to the relationship or focus, if you want to use that word.
Yep. You're just cutting out there for a minute.
Is one of the
sorry, start that bit again. It's just chopped out a bit for a second.
Oh, right. So with the, I don't know.
So
I'll
basically,
just repeat anyway.
so what I'll do, I'll quickly paraphrase. So from what I gathered so far is that the focus on relationships have changed from maintaining the relationship to maintaining the social pressures of a relationship, like you know, having that stability of a house, being able to pay the bills, put food on the table, et cetera, going on holidays, so forth. It's the pressures have moved, like people have moved from worrying about the relationship and everything to what they've got, basically, you know, in assets or money, basically, yeah?
Yeah, it is that. It's just a loss of focus on the relationship. Because if you look at a relationship in the beginning, right? When you first meet someone, it's what they call the honeymoon stage. And it's all in love and it's fluffy and it's beautiful. And when you look at why that's like that is because of the commitment to each other, right?
Okay.
And the time invested in each other. You can't wait to see each other. You can't wait to have a hot date. You can't, all of that. And over time, as the relationship progresses, that time committed to each other lessens and lessens and lessens, right? And so for me, it's like I ask people, when did you last have, I call it a hot date, right? Many would give me a blank look. They can't remember. And so that's a real indication that that quality time together is really dissipated. It's disappeared.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, from what I learned was like, you know, when you get into a relationship, the initial, I think it's 18 months, like you said, is the honeymoon period where the body goes through a chemical imbalance because you're in love, you're feeling all these emotions. But when that time ends, so does that honeymoon period, emotional feeling, chemical balance, you know, movement. So what's really important that I found is to have that friendship first, because you've got more tolerance of your friends than you would have a tolerance of someone that you're living with and seeing day in and day out. You know, it can get quite tense, especially if it bottles up, which a lot of people do. So would you agree that one of the key factors is, basically establishing a solid friendship while going through that honeymoon period or something like that?
Absolutely. You must be best of friends. You must build that friendship and that connection. And I'm actually, what really interested me was the word you used, tolerate.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, that is a word that I don't use.
Yeah.
Because, and it's about really understanding why I don't. It's like, to tolerate friends, do you really want to tolerate friends? If you're tolerating friends and I go, they shouldn't be your friends, pure and simple. And to tolerate your partner, and I guess I've been married for 2 years, but I've been with my beloved for 12.
Yeah.
And if I said to you that we've never had an argument.
Yeah.
And we are still in the honeymoon stage.
Wow. I think that's a goal that everyone needs to put at the top of their list when they're in a relationship, is to maintain that, because that's what allows everything to flow in harmony,
Absolutely. But the thing what's missing is, you would know, and so many do that are into like personal development, is we all focus on setting life goals, right?
Yeah.
Like goals of monetary value, goals of personal value. But the one thing that's missing is the relationship goals.
Yeah. And
right?
Yes, exactly. You're exactly 100% there.
And I go, it blows me away, because I go, it's the number outside of self. It's the one thing that is a huge decision, buying a house, having kids, all that. But so many people don't say about their relationship. Like I say, where do you want it? How does it look in 5 years?
Yeah.
And I really honestly contribute, that's part of what's missing. Is that?
I think like you got to invest in your relationship as well as you invest in everything else, 100%.
100%. 100%. Thousands, millions.
You don't hear people really say that, invest in your relationship. Yeah, they'll go invest in your future, but your relationship is part of your future,
Well, I say that, invest in your relationship. That's why I chose to be a coach, because I want to teach, right? I don't help. I don't even use the word help. I don't help anyone. Nobody is broken. I support and guide, absolutely, because people haven't been taught how to have a relationship.
Yeah.
People haven't been taught how to effectively communicate. People haven't been taught how to respectfully listen.
Okay. So
right?
Yep. So what are some of the challenges that you will find that, the regular issues that you find in relationships, the common ones?
The common ones.
Yeah.
If I was to go by the phone calls, because I do consult calls with anyone that I work with, I don't work with everyone. It's important to make sure that whoever I work with, actually I am the right fit for them, right?
Yep.
But everybody says it's effective communication. They go, we don't know how to communicate. It's our communication.
Yeah.
And generally that's the last concern.
All right.
So it's people's perceptions is that they're struggling to communicate, they're arguing, and absolutely.
Okay.
But if I was to go by what I see once I see people, it's the diminishing respect for one another.
So that's what the importance of having things like date nights are for, yeah?
Absolutely.
So you can sort of reestablish that relationship. So how does one reboot a relationship when they feel like they're at their last legs of it?
Go and invest in relationship education.
Fair
okay?
enough. Yeah.
That is my number one tip. It's sit with self, and anyone that and I'd even say to you, it's like if your relationship is at the end, sit with yourself, take some time to reflect and ask yourself, do you still want the relationship?
That's a fair question.
Most people say, do I still love them? It's not about love. It's about, do you still want the relationship?
Wow. Because that's like a big, massive question, because a lot of people, they find themselves in relationships, like they get into relationships and then it just becomes complacency, because the whole fact of, picking up and restarting life again, not many people, well, some people find that really daunting. Some people find it's outside of their comfort zone. Is it like that?
You've absolutely nailed it. There's so many people that are in relationships today and that could be listening to this today that are in the mouse wheel of the relationship. They're just going through the processes because, as you said, it's scarier or it's overwhelming to leave it rather than to sit in it. And for me, that blows my mind, because before this relationship, I was 23 years in a volatile relationship. So I know from my own experience what hell feels like. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I go, why would you sit in something if it's so uncomfortable? I mean, those who are in abusive, I say, no, it's not so simple to leave, right? There's fear and everything. But those that are just in a standard relationship where they've lost the love or they've lost the spark and they're no longer really wanting to invest in it, then I go, what's more daunting? To stay in that relationship and hit 80 and go, I wasted my life, or to go, I'm going to sit through the process of being uncomfortable, learn new things, grow, and find someone who fits me.
Yeah, I get that. It's like, like I've talked to a few guys in the past, and a lot of people at the start of a relationship, they're not really real. They sort of just show what they want to show to that other person. But it's not until you start getting settled in that then the real you starts to come out. And then by time then, a lot of people don't pull the pin, because they're stuck in that honeymoon period,
Yeah. Absolutely, but and that's where becoming best of friends, like we spoke at the start, is really building that friendship, because then you get to really know someone, and it's not so easy because when is the right time to ask certain questions? When is the right time to have conversations about kids, about all of that, right? And so absolutely, but if over 2 years if your honeymoon stage really does subside and you see a different version of the person of who you thought they were, then what's most important is to sit with self and go, what do I want? Am I prepared to put up with this? And it's not easy, but if you share and ask people out there, you will get the support if it's not what you want anymore.
So how does one open up with their partner and talk about these things without feeling like they're getting judged? Or what is a process you recommend if someone has something they want to open up with their partner, but they're basically scared to open up because they feel that they might be ridiculed, put down, or just disregarded, or if anything, start a fight?
Okay, that's a really big question. You may have, it's like opening a can of worms. And remember I mentioned earlier about respect?
Yeah.
From what I teach people and what my belief is, if you can uphold 100% respect, the utmost respect for the one that you love throughout your relationship, you're not going to go wrong. However, most people, when I say, oh, do you respect your partner? They automatically say yes, right?
Yeah.
Because if I asked you, if I asked you that question, how do you perceive that?
Like, so I would say I respect my partner. Try to, I give her the utmost respect I can. But then I do notice in myself, and I have learned that, you got to be careful of the choice of words you use when you talk with each other, because if you don't, and you say, like, the key word is you, they instantly start to feel like they're being attacked, yeah?
Absolutely.
And that's one of the biggest challenges is communicating. You say, yeah, respect. And it's like, it's quite easy to get relaxed and lose your way of giving that respect when you're talking, and, sort of use words that may feel the other person getting attacked, yeah?
Absolutely. Respect comes in so many different forms, right? And I guess I ask a little unfair question. I go, do you respect your partner? Because most people look at it from, I call it one dimension, which is, yeah, I respect them. I don't beat them. I don't treat, they're looking at it from one. But I say, okay, so do you do you treat them respectfully at all times? Do you speak to them respectfully at all times? Is your tone respectful? Is your body language respectful? I can go on and on and on. And if we're especially, I said, well, if you argue and you're raising your voice and you call them a name or you say things you regret, that's not respectful.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's everything, It's even just the little things that people take for granted that plays a big role in it. Yeah.
Yes, and granted, that's why I say show gratitude. Show gratitude every day for the little things. It's all the little things that matter in a relationship. It's not the big things. It's not buying the gifts or going to lavish dinners, or it's not those. Yeah, a lot of people like them. It's not my thing. I'm not that thing. I'd rather a little picked rose from the garden rather than I don't do flowers. That's me. Because I go, they die, and that's just who I am, right? But it is. My husband has made coffee for me every morning for 12 years.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
right?
get. Yep.
And it's not about, I never expect it. I always say thank you, and I'm still every day I'm grateful for that. So it's about showing gratitude. That's just one of the little things. And, when you first meet, you do a lot for each other, and then over the years it's like that dissipates. It disappears. Where does it go?
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's sort of like expectation takes over appreciation for what one does, and then you sort of neglect those little things. It's just those little things. Like I know with myself, time to time when I'm at the local market, I'll buy a bunch of flowers and bring them home. I know there's no need to, but just that nice little gesture goes a long way. And also for the rest of the day as well, you know what I mean? It sort of sets, because you've created that nice, pleasant moment. And as long as you manage that throughout the day, you have a good day, yeah? And that's what we want, because we don't want to be enduring life or relationships. We want to be enjoying the fruits of those things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And one thing I wanted to say to you was, you can create an amazing day, and it can go into a week and into it. It's getting to know each other. Like, we haven't even touched on the love languages and what fills the love buckets. And, you know, for your wife or your partner, how well do you know her? Like, do you know her love language?
Yeah, so that's about connecting with your partner, yeah, and understanding the little subtle things, yeah.
Absolutely. I always say to people, observe your partner. Know them so well that I know my husband's mood by the way he walks.
Oh, wow. So just the little
Right?
things, yeah.
I've made it's part of something that I wanted to know him inside out, so he doesn't need to use his words. Right?
Yep.
That's connection.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like, I don't know, with me, like I know with my partner, sometimes we'll say the same words, the same questions. We'll think the same things, or I'll think that she's thinking something and I'll go do it for her and she'll be like, oh, yeah, I was just thinking about that. Is that connection?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And like knowing each other, like you knowing your own love language, but more importantly, your partner knowing your love language. So what does she need to do to make you feel loved by her? Because saying I love you is just words.
Yeah.
Yeah. And vice versa, her knowing you. When you know each other so well, if you're having not a good day, she will then know automatically what she can do to support you, to cheer you up, or to shift the mood that you're in. And that, for me, is what a relationship is about. It's about 100% support.
So not a lot of people really do that, do they?
No.
So when you work with your clients, how do you get them to open up at the start? Do you go through any processes or anything like that? Is it easy to get someone to open up in the initial meetings that you do with people?
I'm going to say yes. I guess I have a bit of I can say a cheat side to me. There's a different process I go through, though, to start. Before I even start, is that I do a consult call. And as I mentioned earlier, it's like to make sure that I am the right fit for them. And generally on a phone call, they're already crying on a phone call within 15 minutes. It only takes me about 5 minutes, actually. And because I always say people ring, they cross my path because they're ready, they are. And my biggest thing I say to everyone, it's not the relationship that's the concern, it's the two individuals in it.
So what would you recommend to people that were looking into getting into relationship counselling, but they're sitting on the fence, or relationship coaching, but they're sitting on the fence? Is there anything you would expect them to have done within themselves first before coming to the table and reaching out to you?
Firstly, I don't expect anything of anyone. I don't even use that word.
Yep.
Because I feel I have no right to expect anything of anyone. Anyone sitting on the fence, it's about them. I'd say really decide what you firstly want to get from going and seeing someone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Be clear in your mind about what it is you need, what support you need. So really identify what's going on in your relationship, or what, because I say concern, I don't say problems, because concerns are something that we can work on, right? And it's about deciding whether you want to go down the clinical path or the holistic path.
Yeah.
I'm more the holistic path, right?
Yep.
So not structured. And it's up to you totally. But I go, if you're sitting on the fence, ask yourself this: are you happy every day when you get up? And does your relationship impact your emotional state?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So,
Yeah?
Yeah. So basically you've got to have your expectations outlined first before someone does come, or a couple comes to you, because there's no point them coming to you if they're half willy-nilly, yeah?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Because
that's why I do the calls.
A lot of people will come out to you, like I would think that a lot of people may come to you and think like you're a doctor and be able to just go, here's the problem, give me the solution and that's it. Where it's more about yourself internally, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So
I don't have a feather duster. I don't have a magic wand to go do-do-do-do-do. And, you know, some people do feel that, but I just go, I want to teach you relationship skills so then you've got it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So what are some of the things you may get your clients to do throughout the process that when you're working with them?
In what sense?
So do you give them any exercises or challenges to do? Well, I don't think you like the word challenge, but you know, some things, some key takeaways to do and exercise in between your sessions.
Yes, they do get homework. And one of them, the overarching is must have a hot date once a week.
Yeah.
Which must consist of 4 hours. They must practice effective communication, and because they learn the skill of that, and also respectful listening, and that is one of their hardest skills that they all struggle to attain. They keep a journal. Journal writing is part of their journey.
Oh, wow.
It's really important for them to find out how they're feeling within themselves, and if they're not feeling good, to actually identify and become aware of how that impacts and flows into their relationship.
Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. So, basically, you've given them key takeaways to do, and then they've got to come back the next week and basically they reflect on it, on those sort of things. So is it good as well for basically partners to reflect with each other about what their progress is going through, or is it something that you like, don't talk about it with each other, wait till you come and talk to me where I can play a mediator type of stuff? Because do you get many couples coming back to you the week after and going, oh, it's not working, or they're getting angry at each other, or how's it going with you when working with clients?
No, they don't go, because my goal is for them to never go backwards. They must always move forwards. And if there is something that has come up during the week that they've struggled with, they have another tool called digesting. Yep. Which if they're in a discussion and it gets heated, they have made a mutual respectful agreement that if one of them feels that they're getting upset, they just say, you know what, look, I'm going to walk away. I need to calm down and rebalance my emotional state, and then when I'm ready, we'll come back and continue this conversation. Okay. Right?
Yep.
So that eliminates arguments unless they override the mutual agreement, which then they're in trouble for.
Oh, wow.
And I also offer in between sessions what I call a 15-minute boost call. So if a couple are struggling and they can't overcome something, they're to ring me, and then we work through it on the phone and then just get them to keep moving forward.
Okay. I've just got one more question. Just with people with kids, apart from, making time with date night, what are some other things they can do to help, work on their relationship together while having kids? Because I noticed, kids can take up a lot of time, which then leaves the parents very time limited. Is there any other things you recommend besides gratitude and date night and stuff like that people should exercise in doing to help, their relationship flourish?
Well, I also look, especially with parents, I always ask what's going on with the kids at night time, what's their bedtime. That's why I call myself holistic, because I look at everything going on in their life. It's important, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not having enough time together, is that due to the kids going to bed at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? And so we even work through bringing that back. It's important to have that quality time together. And like I say to people, if it matters, you'll make it a priority. Yeah. And you can make it work. It's important to have that quality time together. You must have, you don't have to have a hot date, but you must have quality time together.
So it's so from the key takeaway I took from that was basically you've got to really address your lifestyle choices and how you choose to manage your day-to-day responsibilities because if you don't have that, then you will struggle to keep the harmony in the family, which then in turn takes the toll on the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. And so many people say they don't have the time. And so I'd love for them to take a moment and look at how much are you on your phone? How much is the TV on?
Yeah.
Really look and evaluate your whole life and what can you shift or reduce so it gives you that more time to spend together.
Yeah, because technology has really tried to take that away from a lot of people, if you ask me, the whole connecting with one another because, I don't know, some say it's the blue screen that creates an addiction or whatever it may be, you know, the whole push to, you know, get content straight away. People, like, it's bizarre. Like, you go down to a restaurant for dinner and you can see couples both on their phone just playing away, just waiting for their food rather than taking the time to interact with each other because, you know, that's part of date night, yeah?
Yes. Phones aren't allowed on date night. Phones must be. So it's really about your commitment. And I say to people, in order for anything to work, as you would know in life, you must commit and have 100% focus on it, right? And so I can give you all the tools, I can provide all of that, but unless the couples are willing to commit and do it, you're not going to change anything.
Yeah, so as long as if they want to make it work, it's all up to them basically, yeah? If they want to make it work, then, yeah, put the effort into it, yeah?
Yeah. Well, is it worth it? And if it's not worth it for you, then why do you still want that relationship?
Yeah, I get that. Look, I really want to thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate the time spending with you to talk to you about this, Kat. Kat, can people reach out to you if they've got any questions or anything, or they want to be able to connect with you to get your service?
Yes, there is a few ways actually. So I do have a website called it's empowercouples.com.au and there is an email button and a phone number on the top of there. I do have a Facebook page which is empowercouples.com on Facebook. Also Katerina Smiley, I've got a public so you can actually reach out to me there.
Yeah.
Or I have an email address, which is katerina@empowercouples.com.au.
Awesome. So what I'll do is I will leave the links down below in the description. So for people, they want to reach out to you. Now, just to all the people out there watching today, if you enjoyed today's content, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon and hit the thumbs up button for us. But yeah, from myself, Neil Coots and Katerina, was it Catherine or Katerina? Sorry.
Katerina.
Katerina. I'm just used to seeing Kat all the time, you know.
That's right.
But look, thank you very much for your time coming on to my show today.
And thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome. You take care. You have a good day. And to everyone else, thank you very much and have a good day.